Welcome to the Service MVP Podcast. This is where you go to learn how to use pure motive service to create higher value to grow your results. And now, here is your host, America's service sales coach, Joe Crisara.
Welcome to the Service MVP Podcast. My name is Joe Crisara, America's service sales coach, and I have with me a very special guest. We have in studio from Air1 Services, Rocky Lozano, who is the owner and head chief cook and bottle washer of that organization. Rocky, welcome to the Service MVP Podcast.
Right on, Joe. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, bud.
It's an honor to have you in our studios. One of the very first guests we've had in studio, so definitely thanks for being here. Rocky, why don't you just start by telling us a little bit about you and your family and your company and how you got started with this whole thing.
Well, I believe we started back in 2007, and we've been in business, I think, 18 years now. And we're a family-owned business, of course, Joe. As you know all my boys and my wife and my family. I have 4 sons, actually, that work for us, and also my wife she is the boss, so I just train the guys, and she's the boss. We're doing call by call. The guys have been part of the program for quite some time now in total immersion for Service MVP. I think we're going on 2 years now.
Well, the name of this podcast is called Mastering Home Service Client Connections. And honestly, I don't know anybody better to speak on this subject than you, who typify exactly what we teach about maintaining those connections. And with all the different new things out there, like Google AdWords and pay-per-click and remarketing and all these things, gimmicks that are not gimmicks, but they're things that are normal ways of reaching the client. Has it been lost that maintaining a connection and a relationship with your home service client, how important is that to your business and your family?
It is important because too much tech, you lose the sense of that relationship if you use it too much. So it's really important for us to make a connection with the customers and make sure that we're listening to the code of the customer. So we practice that almost daily on listening rather than just giving a response. So we listen more than we listen to understand.
Would you say over the years and 18 years that you've seen a movement from the way are people the same, like the way you connect or maintain the relationship? Are people more resistant to it nowadays, or is it still something that's desired? A client wanting a relationship with a service company like yours?
You know what? I think the times have changed, of course. A lot of people are just a little standoffish, but if you do listen to them, I believe if you can make that genuine connection, you do make a difference because we are in the customer service business. So if you listen to them intently and get, feel how they feel of what they're looking for, you can offer some solutions. So I believe it has changed, but what we do is really focus in on listening to them on some of the problems that they have, so that we can offer solutions. Yes. And I believe that they feel that you are a listener and you do care. So that's very important for us.
When it comes to the key elements of maintaining that client relationship with homeowners, what are some of the key elements that you have taught your sons? You have 2 sons in the business. How many children?
4 sons. Yeah, 4 boys.
They're all in the business?
Yes, all of them.
Wow. So so instead of having to, where do you find the good employees? You say, we just make them.
Yeah, we just make them, right?
That's a great way to do it. That's the way to do it. It's going one way, right?
Yeah, right.
There's long-term commitment. They can't fire themselves from the family.
You got to see us at the dinner table at the end of the night, right?
That's really great. Well, that's good. But what are some of the things you've instilled in your family and in your workers there? The keys to beginning that relationship, because I think the relationship isn't something you can just put a label on it and just do it. There's 2 people involved, the client and there's you or the service provider. What are some of the key elements that you've discovered over the years of doing this and all the years you've been in just living life with your family and stuff like that, to maintaining relationships and client relationships specifically? What do you think? What are some elements there?
Some of the elements were to be genuine, of course, as I keep on repeating that, but to really offer the care and just to really adapt yourself into their family, really. And to offer the care and the love and the kindness, right? Because we go back to it. And of course, we always used to say the customer is the most important person. And truly they are at times, definitely. But what I've taught my boys is that I always tell them that it's always an investment for the community to always go back to shop locally, to invest back into the community. So if people understand that you're a family-ran business, I think they're more apt to give you their business because it's part of the community and it helps it to grow.
And you've been involved with a lot of best practice groups, so you're no stranger to different best practice groups
Yes.
and the processes that they teach. But one of the things I was going to ask you was, when you get to that relationship you're trying to build with people, there's this process that we're trying to do and memorize and do it, and then there's the room for having the relationship. And sometimes the relationship building is inefficient, let's say, right?
Correct.
How much time, or we say these, I like the word investment you just mentioned there, because it is an investment in time and money, because you're paying people to be out there. And some people think, I don't got time for talking to people or whatever. Tell us about your view, and Trina, the viewpoint you have with the investment in time and giving people the freedom to invest time in the clients to do that. Tell us a little bit about what's your thoughts on that? Give us your view on that.
Well, we do invest a lot. Thank you for that, Joe, because we actually, we have training every day for a half an hour to an hour every day. We've been in the program now for going on, I think it's a year and a half to almost 2 years. It's going on 2 years. But we found that if you invest in your employees, it will pay off definitely, because just as the customer is important, also the employee is just as essential. So if you treat them well, then that will come off, of course, to your customers. So our investment is definitely into them to better them. I mean, at first, you get some kickback, but however, as they grow in it, because you do have to memorize some of the stuff, right? As far as until it becomes just best practice, after a while. But what we've seen is that over time, the guys are improving, and we have been investing in them, and I believe that it's changed our culture as well.
How about the client, though? Spending that, there's, being involved with several best practice groups, the applied time versus the unapplied time. Applied time is where we get paid for it.
Correct.
Applied time is where we're not paid for it. How much freedom do you allow the technicians to, invest on applied time that's free, basically, to clients, to build a relationship between the technician and the client? How much time do you allow for that? Or do you have a limit to that time? Or is it say, hey, I'll leave it to your discretion? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, that's good. Of course, we have our son, Andrew, who's our call-by-call manager, and he's, watching every single call. And of course, we do give them the time, and it is paid for, of course, right? Whether on their clock. But we want them to establish that relationship and build that gap of actually, getting to know the customer. So we do allot some time for that. And that could take anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes on a service call that typically might take an hour to an hour and a half. So we do give them that time, at least 50 to 20 minutes, in order to build that relationship and that trust in the company.
Yeah, because when you work with Service MVP, your average invoice has gone up, your average work order has.
Correct, it has, yes.
And so one of the things we believe in is that the investment in that time with the client and getting to know them more intimately, and become, like you said, you give your friendship to every client.
Correct, yes.
It does take time for that, but a lot of people are afraid, like, I don't got time for all that stuff, you know what I'm saying there? How important do you think building the relationship is, and maintaining that relationship is to creating value? Let's call that value. Tell us about how that is connected to creating value with the client.
Well, what we do, of course, is there's a couple of things. There's a magic moment. There's the health, reliability, and this health and safety of the home, and we make relevant solutions to the customer. So what we have to do is really be keyed into listening to the customer. I know a lot of times, best practices, we always teach that. But with your program, I believe we truly dive into really having 2 ears and 1 mouth. So we really have to be attentive to listening to the customer, and listen to what they have to say, right? And I believe by doing that, you can build trust. It's just like a friend, right? You have a friend, and as you talk, you can just hit it off. And if you guys connect, and that's what we're doing out there, we're connecting with them, and they're more apt into trusting you, into when you offer some solutions to them, you've built that already, that bridge for them to consider some of those things that you're offering, because we do it for them.
You mentioned magic moments before, which, it's a controversial subject. It's probably one of the hardest things we teach at Service MVP, which is noticing victories and challenges, and then being able to, create a magic moment which notices the effort that people make to go through the challenges or to celebrate the victories or to be there for their children or family and things like
Correct.
that. How has that changed the culture of the company at Air1, would you say?
It is, but to define that, right? To define the magic moment, it's not a song, right? It's even though it's a great song, right? But it's actually it's very important. A magic moment is creating. Well, you created the magic moment, right? So it's the definition is to be in the right place, right? And to set that moment to really listen in order so that you can respond back, right? What is the definition, of course, right, Joe? You know that better than anyone.
Well, I've heard you say the word listen many times already during this podcast already. How important is it to listen for your ears, with your eyes, and just observe things with the body language? That's where the magic moments usually begin, right? And the element of things.
And you do, because you got to set the moment, of course, right? As you do that, and then you set the moment, and then you praise the effort, right? And then you the other one is say
share how you feel.
Share how you feel. There you go. And that's a hard one though too for many men in the trade, are people in general in the trade, because we're not, we're all tough, jumping and so it's not normal for some of us to just give that attaboy. It's just not built in us. So we have to train ourselves, of course, to be kind. And it comes natural. Of course, if you have children, I was telling Trina earlier, if you have children, it comes easy because we're always, giving them accolades. Hey, I'm proud of you. You've done a good job. And it comes naturally. But in the world, dealing with people, sometimes that's just not something natural to do.
I think one of the biggest things in the trades I get is that, the magic moments sound creepy, like I'm going to come off creepy, like I'm doing something that sounds phony or creepy. It only sounds phony and creepy if you make it that way, right? It's how the person projects the magic moment. And just to clarify what it is, again, it's setting the moment and saying, hey, can I just stop and say something? I'll just do one right now with Rocky so he gets it. It's like, can I just say something, Rocky?
Yeah, sure, Joe.
First of all, I want to thank you and Trina for driving, I think it's probably 90 miles all the way from Colt to California, all the way here to Culver City, and drive all the way here. And I'm sure you had an interesting talk and things like that. And I appreciate you coming and making the effort to drive here. It makes me feel good. And all of us here at Service MVP feel honored, but myself specifically, I'm so honored that you would come here to be a guest on the show. And as well as I want to say thank you for all the kind words and the praise and everything you've said about our company and myself. And definitely not a day goes by where I don't feel fortunate to have you on our side here at Service MVP. And that would be a magic moment. Now, of course.
Good job.
Thank you.
That's a great one.
But it's like, I mean, he's just manufacturing this. But truthfully, what am I manufacturing? Is everything I said true?
It is.
I mean, so that's the thing about it. Magic moments are only weird when they're phony.
Correct.
If I did something I don't know about, but I do know he drove all the way out here, and him and Trina is here with.
Yes.
And I do realize they probably had a great conversation on the way here, and interesting conversations. And he come out here and spend time. It does make me feel good, and I do appreciate all the kind things he's done for us. And so my question is, if people have a hard time doing something like that, what does it say about the person who's trying to do the magic moment if they're having a hard time with those? Probably the feeling part of it, like you mentioned there. Right?
Yeah, it was very hard for me. As you know, one of your ex-coaches was Michael Munoz, and what's great about him is I had a hard time. So with him, he was on there. He goes, give me a magic moment. I go, I'm too tough. I ride a Harley. I'm not going to do this. I said, there's just no way. It's not real. It's not genuine. He goes, you say it enough until it becomes genuine.
Yeah.
If you repeat it enough, if you continue just to say it, it will come naturally. And I didn't believe him for a long time, right? I had a hard time. I was like, I'm not going to tell this guy of how I feel really to the point, right? But as you continue to do it, it really comes naturally.
Yeah.
You realize that it doesn't come off as sleazy. It doesn't come off as creepy. It comes off as natural if you do that, because you look for the best in someone. And that's pretty much what it is you look for the best, and then you just relay that to them. So now we have a best practice at our shop now, where we actually, Nick just gave us some homework for a while there. He said, before you leave the shop every day, I want all your guys to give a magic moment. They are not dismissed or dispatched until they give a magic moment to everyone.
Wow.
Or to one person, of course, right? So it works out really well. And it does change the culture and the attitude in the morning, because somebody might have had a bad day, And as they do that, somebody gives you a magic moment and they realize like, wow, thank you for caring. And it could change their whole day. And now that reflects onto the customer, where the customer is also going to get that great service.
So you feel a magic moment is one of the keys to maintaining and sustaining that client relationship as a home service business?
Always. I think it's one of the key, foundation, stones that we stand on. Yes.
Yeah, because I mean, you could try to get leads and get customers by promoting your business, and it costs a lot. You waste a lot of money trying to promote it. I mean, you could
all day.
Google pay-per-click ads, better websites, go hit door hangers, whatever. It costs a lot of money to do
It costs a lot of money because I'm the biggest gambler I know right now, right? Because we always roll the dice. Where do we gamble?
But then if you do the magic moment, it creates an attraction. So would you say more promotion or more attraction is the better way to market? Would you say that you're going to get more customers by attracting them with magic moments? Or how about both things? Attracting with magic moments, and then you think it's one or the other or both together? What do you think on that?
You know what? I probably would say both together. Of course, you got to get the phone to ring. But if your phone rings a lot and your culture's not right, then stop advertising in that sense, right? So build your culture so that you can definitely offer the best service you can. If you have 2 calls a day versus 4, the average would probably be, they probably will, offer solutions to 2, but the other 2 were not given the service because your culture wasn't right. So I believe the magic moment, regardless if they purchase anything or not, I believe that having that magic moment with the customer, and we practice it with every single person there, with every single customer, regardless, they have a sense of trust now. So maybe the next time you come out, we can bring up those options because they did trust you at that time.
That's great. I'll give you a few minutes to think about it. Is there any stories you could tell about a client who would maybe on the fence, or maybe they wasn't sure what to go with you guys, or maybe they were having a customer concern, or maybe there was some kind of special act of kindness that resulted from a magic moment? I'm giving a long question on this, so you could think of it.
Yes.
Occasion. Do you have any occasions that you can tell a story to one of our people here?
Let's see. Yes. When we go out, of course, and we get a lot of reviews now. So the reviews speak volumes of us, right? And they're genuine reviews. They'll be hold on one second. Specific as far as, mentioning the name and how they felt. A lot of our reviews now, I believe Trina can address to this, is that a lot of them are more of a personal review about how they made them feel.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So that's a plus for us. And then in turn, other people do read that and, they give us a call.
So instead of just talking about they fixed my igniter.
Yeah, right.
Hey, this guy came over and he made me feel really good about being a friend. And I feel like I can call him anytime. And I feel a special warmth. And
right. They feel the connection. And what we call the code, right? They feel that. So it has changed our business around it. Before they would just give us a 5 stars, right? No comments. But now it's changed quite a bit.
Well, we do have some questions from the audience here.
Okay.
I'm not sure if we got how many we have, but we do have one. Rocky, does a magic moment need to be planned, or can it just be spontaneous? What do you think on that? Something you should plan for, or something that just occurs as you're kind of walking through the call and talking to people? What would you say?
Well, I don't necessarily know it's planned. At least maybe your plan is to do it, but it's really important that you don't plan it, because you have no idea as you're walking into the home. This customer down the street is going to be definitely not the same as the customer across the street or around the block. So I believe it's specific to that customer.
Right.
I mean, you could definitely duplicate it because a lot of people have the same problems. However, it's rarely that they're exactly the same.
So you would say that more like preparation would be better than
correct.
planning.
I would say that. Thank you, Joe. Yes.
Prepare for a magic moment, but it is always spontaneous. Because Rocky, when is a good time for a magic moment? Is there a certain time in the call, or is it just, could it be any time? What do you think of magic moment, timing wise?
Well, I believe there is timing. I believe there is timing definitely on that, because if you first walk in and, you give a magic moment, it might not be earned yet. So I believe that there's a certain time when you need to be in the right place. So the first thing is make sure you're in the right place to give it. You might need to hear a little bit more. You might give the magic moment during the middle of the call rather than just at first, because people might think that you come off like, yeah, he's trying to sell me something. But as you build it, you could do it in the middle, at the end. You could say multiple magic moments, actually. Some people are like, hey, this guy is, always trying to sell me something. And then they, as you said, well, they might be able, thinking that you are trying to sell them something. But as you go down the line, they're like, hey, man, this guy's genuinely nice.
You ever have people have a fear that I'm being too nice, or that if I'm too nice, people are going to think I'm being phony, or like I'm a pushover or whatever kind of a thing. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, sometimes as a tech, you might think that they're going to think that way, but genuinely, I feel that people build confidence. They feel confidence in that tech as you do it.
How does magic moments relate to the timing when listening as it relates? We have a question from
Okay, yeah, I see it here.
How did the timing when listening as it relates to increasing revenue? How does the magic moments help to increase the revenue?
I believe that building that relationship, it creates more revenue. It does. I believe that people are more apt to spend because they feel that connection. Of course, we have increased our average tickets a little bit here over the last year. There was some challenging times where we had to really memorize the script, and some people were on board, some people were just half doing it. And now that it's become part of our daily routine, it has increased our tickets. Most definitely, because I think we offer that care and that relevant solutions to our customers.
So when the client sees that the magic moment resulted in specifically something that triggered you to offer a solution that would help them celebrate that time with their family, or
yes,
get through the challenge. Hey, why don't you take care of your family, and your daughter's going through that special illness she's going through. Let me take care of the heating system and that part of it there. I think that's a way that could relate to it, right? I think, by raising the self-esteem of the client, which is what magic moments do.
correct.
It helps to create a experience for the client where they feel they want to treat themselves to better premium options. Does that make sense?
It does. Yes, correct.
Have you noticed that with the calls with magic moments, people do tend to buy more premium options? What do you think of that? Is that a fair statement?
Yes, I believe so. A lot of because we offer, 6 options, and I do see that people are they stay away from the bottom option, right? Because they don't want just that small repair. They actually tend to stay kind of in the middle for us. So maybe our mid-plus options and even our premium options. Yes, I definitely see it.
One question from the audience is, how has Service MVP helped you progress the service experience for you and your family? What would you say on that? In what way specifically has Service MVP helped you progress on the path to better results, would you say?
Well, we do call by call. And what it's helped us do, Service MVP has helped us to make sure that we are offering the customer on every call the service that we promise. So we have my son Andrew, he's our call by call manager. So what he does is he helps the guys, he encourages the guys, he reinforces the guys on every call. So what call by call is that we have one guy that is managing 5 techs out there. And what he does is they check in the morning. He's giving them attaboys. He's also checking in on them, dispatching them. And once they get there, they have to relay it to him about client code. And what he's helping them do is build the observations. He's helping them to really listen and focus in on the solutions that were specific for that customer. And what's happened now is that it's changed again our business, because the guys are not falling through the cracks anymore.
And I get it.
They're not falling through as far as, hey, I went on this call. Yeah, I talked to the customer, but hey, I was out of there. I was in and out in 20 minutes.
There's less frustration from the people who have to pay the bills. Like
That's
Trina.
right. Yeah, right. Yeah, Trina.
Because she sees that the opportunities that we're paying for are being harvested into paying customers, and that makes paying the bills easier, and it makes it easier to be nicer, right?
It does.
When
Yeah,
we're not
really
under
does.
financial stress.
Correct, right?
I think it makes us do magic moments flow even easier when we have gratitude in our hearts, don't we?
It is. It is. And you know what helped us as well was your system performance coaching class, because you got to take that before you become a call by call manager, right? It's an essential, and it was a life changing class. As you know, I've been all over the United States taking courses and coming back and forth, and I realized that. And don't get me wrong, some are great out there, but yours is better, right? And I'm gonna say that because I'm on the podcast, but you're. Yours is amazing, and I believe what it does is it brings you back to knowing how to coach, knowing how to get your pride right. Don't let your ego be your amigo is very important, right? Especially for men, for us, you know what I mean, or anyone these days, right? We don't want to be pushed around, but we realize that once we take it back to us, and we realize that maybe we need to fix us, and then in turn we can help our techs out there to be a better person.
Yeah. You know, I think a lot of people do training that's similar to us on the client experience, but I don't think anybody does coaching training on how to coach people as well as we do, because I think that's something, an element people miss out on. They don't really get that. One more question we have,
Okay.
how do you get buy-in from the team? I mean, there's got to be, I know, of course, you got your children who will pretty much do, if you ask them to jump, they just say how high probably. But the rest of the people
After I buy
coming into
breakfast,
this culture, how important is it that, is it the culture that helps everybody buy into this, that man, even his kids got to do it? So I guess there's no getting around this type of thing. How important is it the family is kind of like setting the culture tone for when new people come in? I can see it could be a little off-putting, like, man, oh yeah, well, he's the son, he gets special treatment. But how do you work against that? And how does, bringing people in from the outside to do magic moments? So, because your family is now typifying it and being, like it's just part of the culture now. It's in your family now, not just in your business. But how do you get the outsiders to buy into this?
So, of course, we have our leaders. So Trina and Richard, when we went to one of your True Grits, so they are very vocal, of course, in the family and encouraging us, right? So they were bought in, and once they bought it into the program, they really came back to the shop and they told us, "We're going to do this. We're going to believe in it." So, with that, during the meetings, they're very passionate towards the program once we're in the meetings. And Richard is a natural leader, right? So if people definitely listen to him. So if they see him definitely do it, they're encouraged also to do it, because he's actually like the father of our company, right? Yeah, he's going to be 30 years old, but he totally bought into the program where he believes in it. So I believe that radiates off him onto other people, and people look at him for the decision he makes. I'll give you an example. So whatever happens in the company, if there's something that we're implementing or changing, they really look for his reaction. Like, how is he going to take it? And I believe this program, once he came back, even today in the meetings, he's like, "Hey guys, we got to stick to the script. This is what we believe in. I believe in this, and I believe that is contagious."
How important is
Right.
it? I mean, how important is it that people believe in what you're trying to do? Because that's an important factor. I think that's obviously why people don't finish the training or don't do training. They don't believe that the training is going to work, or they don't believe in what you're trying to, what the culture is trying to do in a way. Does that make sense, sir?
Correct. Yeah.
How important is that belief, creating that belief, and how do you test that belief in people to see if they test it? How do you know that you're getting that buy-in?
Well, it all depends on, once we took your class for system performance coaching, if they don't, then they get a furlough, right? We're going to go get a cup of coffee. We're going to give them 5 minutes to think about it, and we'll be right back. Yeah. So, getting the buy-in is always challenging, of course, right? Because the trade itself has taught you that if you make money out there, you're doing okay. But that's not necessarily good service.
Yeah.
Right? Because it has to come back to the person. And a lot of times being an owner, it's hard for us to really get into that personal level with our techs.
Yeah.
But with teaching them the program, having pure motives. I guess that's what it all boils down to, is having the pure motive, detaching yourself from the outcome, is very important. So we really strive to indoctrinate the guys with that.
Yeah.
To understand, because they are so attached to the outcome. Many guys that have come into our office or we've hired have been attached to the outcome, like, oh, it's the customer.
Yeah. It's funny how people go right to we teach a thing on the performance coaching. It's like, well, people aren't buying in, and you're giving them several chances, then it's time for a furlough, even if it's 5 minutes to think about it.
That's right. I'll be right back.
It's a good one to mention. People, the furlough has now been associated with service MVP, 100%, no doubt about that. But let's talk a little bit about, a question from the audience is, how do you deal with guys who weren't following through the magic moments? More specifically, how many, is it just furlough, or is there things that you can do before the furlough? I mean, is it just,
Definitely.
you don't just say, hey, time for a furlough.
Yeah.
So
Right.
just clarify a little bit more on that.
So in the morning, what Andrew does is he takes a pulse from them. And so do I. So what we'll do is I'm probably the last resort because I let Andrew go ahead and lead the guys. So he takes a temperature. He sees how they are. If he's having a issue with magic moments, he might keep them back for a little while and train them
Work on it.
and coach them. You know what I mean? And maybe do it 5 times. Hey, give me a magic moment 5 times before you head out.
I want to stop right there.
Yeah.
That's the difference in a winning coach and a losing coach. The winning coach sees when we're falling short and just works on it, as opposed to a losing coach just bitches about how nobody's doing what we're doing.
Correct.
And let's face it, we've all had those moments in our management career where we did nothing but bitch about our people rather than getting in there and working with the people. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
The difference is bitching or working. Would you? So that's it. That's fair.
Well, that's it, because then they're going to be like, hey, it's all this guy. But yet the coach is not stepping up to for his responsibility or his accountability. He's not keeping himself accountable. So everything just starts falling through the cracks, which is dangerous. Because if they don't want to deal with it as a coach, then it's going to run off into your techs as well. They'll have the same attitude. So what we try to do is encourage them. So we'll pull them in and just coach them, give them, maybe even take them to breakfast. Because I see Andrew do that a lot. He's like, I'll be back. I'm taking my guys to breakfast. And I believe that encourages them as well. Just to,
It's an investment again.
it is an investment, definitely. Sometimes you don't always have to bring the hammer down.
Yeah.
And sometimes, that's the natural as a boss. We think, we got to bring the hammer down. But sometimes it could just be a simple cup of coffee. It could be just taking them to breakfast, just having a conversation, maybe encouraging them. Maybe there's something deeper going on in their lives that we don't see.
Yeah.
So you might want to just spend that time just to get to see what's going on.
Yeah, sometimes it's like, if I can't get the guy to do what I'm trying to get him to do, if I talk to him, he's probably going to quit or I'm going to fire him. Like, they always imagine the worst
Correct.
possible outcome. The better outcome would be, if I talk to him, I can't wait to get him to get back on track, because I know this, I believe in this person. Like, just like you got to believe in the program, you got to believe in your people, right?
Definitely.
Because if you don't believe in your people and you try and coach them, how successful is that going to be, Rocky, if you don't believe in your people and you try and coach them?
Well, that's going to be a tough one, definitely. Yeah, with if you don't believe in them, that's really tough. So what we just try to do is come back to reinforcing them, seeing if they're going to be a part of the program. Because some guys get bought in, some guys are buying in, and some guys are just they're just not a fit for your company. So, and I think as an owner, that might be the hardest thing to cross, is to see, are they going to fit or not, right? Because most of the time, as you know, for years, you check their pulse. So you got a pulse. Hey, you got a job. Here's a truck. I'll see you later.
Yeah.
Right? So now we realize, like, we have to make some decisions. Are they going to be best part of the culture? If not, then, we part ways. We give them an application to the next, our competitor down the street.
You just gave me an aha moment there, Rocky. You just made me kind of wake up on something. Obviously, the best results are when our people in the field or our people in the office take the time and work into that connection with our clients, right?
Yeah.
I think the manager thinks, so that's all I got to do is get them to make that connection. But really, the best companies, and I think I just had an aha moment, a chill down my spine almost on this, but the best companies I've been to, the leadership team does the same thing with the employees. Does that make sense? Like internally, the leadership team is always making the employees feel valued, respected, and cared for, and supported. And they're working, taking the time to work and do the role play like Andrew does and you do with the company. But it's like the companies that don't do well, I notice, they expect, you guys should learn how to do rapport, which is a real generic term. You got to get better rapport with the clients. And I got to go now. But you work on that. Like, it's like, so instead of digging in and showing people specifically what that looks like, that's what I think is wrong with the industry. There's a lot of things that are true, but there's not anybody specifically working exactly on what they need to do. Would you say that's a fair statement with that?
I believe that is. There's a part of commitment, even with Service MVP, there is a big commitment of really immersion yourself in the process. It's just not like a 3-day event that you go to and then you're done and you're like, okay, I got it for the rest of the year. No, there's homework. There's a lot of homework. There's a lot of accountability. There's a lot of meetings that we hold each other to, as far as, because you start with total immersion, then you go to maintenance, then you go to a couple of things. So what it does is it keeps you involved. So the coaching keeps you involved so that you can better your guys as well, because everybody's accountable, because there's coaching for the leadership, for the office, and for definitely the techs, right? But I feel like it all comes together because there's many programs out there. However, I believe this one is probably, what is it, about a year program, right? It's about 6 months by the time that you really get it. And you're like, hey man, I'm getting some steps here. You're crawling, you're starting to just, and then you start to run after about 6 months as it all comes together, because now it just becomes a part of who you are.
That's awesome. Well, I'll tell you what, one of the things I just want to finish with here is, you think doing magic moments to make other people feel good is what the point of the magic moment is. Like, me trying to make Rocky feel good for driving all the way out here.
Yes.
And spending time with me today. And definitely I appreciate that. But truthfully, the unintended thing that is the secret to everybody here is how good it makes the person feel who actually does the magic moment, who gives the magic moment. Can you describe that? Like, have you ever been having a bad day and then all of a sudden you did a magic moment with somebody and you said something nice to praise the effort and share your feelings and share gratitude with somebody? Describe the feeling you get when you do a magic moment with an employee or a client.
There's an old saying that says, it's better to give than to receive. Right. So I believe when you do that, it actually changes something in your own heart, I guess, right? With the feelings. That one's for Mike Munoz there, for the feelings. So it changes you inside when you do compliment someone else, because you're taking yourself out of the realm and becoming the person of the main person. You're focusing on that other person. And I believe that it changes something inside of you as you continue to do that, because you're realizing, like, you're giving some of the best parts out to someone. And I think that's why we're not so vulnerable sometimes, right? And the scary part of it is we're vulnerable, but I believe it pays you back. I believe just giving somebody an attaboy, it actually gives us something inside of us, if that makes sense, hopefully.
Yeah, I get that. You get a glow, a certain glow you get from a good feeling. One question was,
Okay.
is there a magic moment you've ever done that you never forget? Of course, I have mine that I talk about with that company when I was in San Antonio, Texas, and a woman wanted to cancel her service agreement and never see the company again. I did a magic moment about her puppies and how effort she makes with her. She rescues puppies from a shelter, and I thought how lucky those puppies were and how much it made me feel good because I have a puppy.
Yes.
And then she said that she works at the what do you call it? The special school where she has a great system of helping people with their homework, as how fortunate those kids are. And she does the soup kitchen. And by the time we got done with it, she went from canceling the agreement to buying $3,600 in repairs from us on that day. But it wasn't about the money. It was about the fact that she became reconnected with the company. It solidified that relationship with the company. Do you have anything like that, Rocky? You can remember maybe a client that, maybe a magic moment that was memorable, that you turned around somebody, or maybe you even turned around yourself, maybe?
Yeah, we just had a customer, I believe her name was Nikki, and it was funny. This is just probably within the last 2 months. And she had a couple guys out, and what the difference was is that she actually came into my office and we sat down. She loved to talk for at least 2 hours. She's been fun. But she sat there and I gave her a magic moment. And what she said back to me was, I want to thank you for that. So it's the response, I guess, what I'm going to talk about here is the response back from, I thank you for the care and for you listening to me. And she ended up buying, of course, a system for about, 16 grand, which was surprising to me, right? But out of all that was just the gratitude that someone actually cared for her, sat down with her, and listened to her was a great response. And now she's a fan.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up. I think it's time to wrap it up.
Yes, sir.
Rocky, is there anything you want to share with people, or anything people can do to contact you, or is there anything you would like people to know about your service to contractors? Because Rocky has been one of the biggest people that in our program who has helped other contractors, not just, and he doesn't make any money from it. He just does it because he wants to help people.
I get a piece of pizza. It's fine.
You get a piece of pizza? That's great.
And a coffee.
Right.
Hey, I'm glad.
Tell us, how do you, what's in your heart to help contractors, and what do you have any kind of a thing you'd like to say to them right now?
Yeah. I'm a firm believer in the program, right? And of course, I'm not getting compensated to come out here at all. It's just out of the grace that I'm an advocate for Joe, and I want you to know that this program works. You know, he says this shit works, and it does work, right? That's really,
They got it right here in the cup, right?
yeah. So it works. It definitely works, you know. And if you're skeptical about it, you just have to really take the time and just look into it. It's transformed our business. Again, I'm always willing to help anybody else out there that has any questions. You know, I'm not the biggest guy out there, but my doors are open as if they were, you know, a big temple. So you guys can come on in. I will help anybody out, but it works. And I'm a firm believer. And if you guys ever want to come to my shop or anything like that, Joe, of course, they're more than happy to come talk to Trina, or even a phone call or a Zoom call.
Yeah, if you want to talk about call-by-call management and come out and see it work in real life. He's like a living laboratory out there about what it's like. So definitely there. Rocky, I want to say thank you again for making the effort, you and Trina and your whole family, for using the program and for saying all the kind words you do about our team. And I knew the day I met Trina when we were at the True Get Summit, and I was on stage, and you guys are right in the front row. And I just walked off stage after I had a speaking segment, and she goes, "That's it. We're doing this program."
Right.
I'm like, there's one.
There's one. I think we snuck up to the front. After I looked at it, I think you're supposed to pay in the front, but I snuck up.
You got there.
To get it.
We had just the right people in the front. But thank you so much for that, and
You're
appreciate
welcome,
you guys being here. And that's it, everybody. Thank you, guys. We'll see you on the next podcast.
Yes.
Goodbye, everybody.